What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Open Great League once again, and the team we're going to look at today is HIPPOWDON, Furret, and Empoleon. Now, the main focus of today's video is, of course, going to be HIPPOWDON, but HIPPOWDON is not on its standard moveset. Instead of running Sand Attack today, we are running Ice Fang, and because Ice Fang just core breaks so much of the meta, I was seeing so many teams that were double weak to Ice. That said, these battles were done way earlier in the season. I'm just basically reviving them because just for content, basically. But I did have a lot of fun with Ice Fang HIPPOWDON, and I really think the team that I paired with it was really solid as well. As you'll see, Ice Fang actually sims a little bit more poorly than Sand Attack. However, I do think it's the way to go for HIPPOWDON in this meta. That said, without further ado, let's hop into the battles. Okay, into the first match, we've got HIPPOWDON into a Cradily. So this is a good lead because Acid is resisted and Ice Fang is super effective. The opponent safe switches into a Blastoise, and I respond with Furret. Now, this might be a mistake as Empoleon is a complete wall to energy from the Blastoise, whereas in this matchup, I do have super effective Trailblaze. However, Trailblaze will not be enough to knock out the opponent, and they will be able to outpace me to back-to-back charge moves. So now I have to make a decision. Do I want to shield? Do I want to let this go? I decide to let this go, and the reason I let this go is because it doesn't really matter who I have this Pokemon on, because I've got a Empoleon in the back, which will core break the Cradily either way, or will beat the Cradily either way, and they end up coming back in with the Cradily anyways, which means they're most likely ABA weak to the HIPPOWDON. The opponent is going to farm up, play to the CMP tie that they do not win, and now I will put up a shield on the Grass Knot, and in the back is a Talonflame. So now we see why the opponent ended up coming back with that Cradily when we were loaded with energy. We end up grabbing a shield with the double super effective Weather Ball, and now in comes Empoleon. Empoleon can survive one charge move here, so I am just going to let this go. The opponent does go for the flame charge, but that's okay because I can make it to a Hydro Cannon. This is super effective damage. Does my opponent put up their final shield? Yes, they do, but that just seals their fate because now one Weather Ball will be enough to knock them out. They are going to go for another charge move here, but I will be able to outpace to the next charge move. So I throw 4 and the move. The opponent goes for the catch. They cannot get there. I end up getting the full farm down. Actually, not quite. I'm forced to throw energy, throwing on the CMP tie, winning CMP. Weather Ball does pick up the knockout on the Cradily, and now I'm able to make it to a Weather Ball against the Talonflame and the Ice Fang HIPPOWDON, putting in so much work in the first match. We are able to take that win. Into the next matchup, we've got a Meowscarada. So this normally would be a terrible lead for this team, but we are on Ice Fang. So we're actually both doing super effective damage to each other, and the opponent only settles for a Night Slash here. So you better believe I'm just going to let this go, even if they look for the boost, or of course they do get the boost, because this would be a very neutral matchup if they did not. That said, I will go for the Weather Ball, and then I will just concede the farm down, and now I can just come in with the Empoleon. I'm probably going to be forced to shield this up because a Frenzy or a Night Slash would do huge damage to the Empoleon, but getting an energy lead here will be nice. The opponent does not concede that farm down. Instead, they come in with a Blastoise, but this is okay for the Empoleon because Empoleon is a complete wall to energy from the Blastoise. They're going to be farming up here. Rollouts resisted, Hydra's resisted, Ice Beam's double resisted, and of course, they're harder hitting. And Skull Smash? No, it's not Skull Smash. I forgot what it is. But Skull Bash. Is that the one? I don't know. It's normal. It's resisted as well. We can actually survive 2 Hydro Cannons and also look for the full Meadow Sound farm down. Back in comes the Meowscarada. I end up pivoting into the Furret, banking all of that energy, and the opponent comes in with a Typhlosion. Now, Typhlosion is extremely glassy. They probably have to put up a shield on the Swift, and that's exactly what's going to happen. The opponent will look to fire off a charge move here, but I will be able to outpace the opponent, so I am just going to put up a shield myself, and then I will have the charge move for the Meowscarada because I will just force them to throw energy here on my Furret. Swift does pick up the knockout. Back in comes the Meowscarada. They cannot get to back-to-back charge moves, so the opponent concedes the farm down, and we are able to take that win. Ice Fang Hippo into a Marowak lead in the next matchup. This is another good lead for the Hippo, and the opponent is staying in. They're taking so much damage from these Ice Fangs. We've already got them into the yellow health range, but you know what? A Bone Club would hurt, so I am going to respect it with a shield as they're staying in this matchup. So something is clearly wrong with my opponent's team. They are going to fire it off on alignment to get the next Bone Club off, but all that does is let me get 2 back-to-back Weather Balls Weather Ball from this range will be enough to knock out, but no, the opponent is willing to commit a shield and look for the full farm down, but they're not going to get it before I make it to a second Weather Ball. They double shield their Marowak, and now in comes the Ferret to absorb this energy. I will have to take a Bone Club here, but that's okay, because Bone Club will not do all that much to the bulky Ferret. In the back is a Corviknight, so in comes Empoleon. I kind of have to hope they stay in this matchup because my Ferret does not have a good matchup there, but we do not yet know what is in the back. It was something that did not want to see the Hippo, so we have to imagine it's weak to ice in the back, but no, instead it's an Azumarill, so I have no idea why they stayed in that matchup when it was so poor and they had two better answers in the back. That said, winning switch was actually pretty nice for them here, but they end up coming in with an Azumarill against my Empoleon anyways, so it's going to end up working out for us. That said, I think the Empoleon is my win con. I am going to go for the Drill Peck on the CMP tie, winning CMP against the Azumarill, but it's not enough to knock out. However, that does let me get a full Metal Sound farm down. They're going to go for the Play Rough. It's not enough to knock out. Can I make it to a Hydro Cannon? It's going to be close. No, I cannot. The opponent is going to throw their energy, but I think they're in double Swift range, and I know these Sucker Punches will add up. They end up getting the boost. It's going to be a close race. Here comes Swift number one. Is it going to be enough to knock out the Corviknight from this range? It is resisted damage. It's not enough. They end up getting to yet another charge move, but this is only enough for the Air Cutter. We can survive the Air Cutter deep into the red. We get the full farm down with the Ferret. We leave with the charge move loaded for the Azumarill, and the Swift from this range will be easily knocking out the Azumarill, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got Ice Fang Hippowdon into Florges. So this is the first negative lead for the Hippo. I can throw 5 Ice Fangs here and then go for the catch onto my Ferret, at least deferring that energy onto my Ferret. However, that does mean that my Ferret will be permanently debuffed in this matchup, and Sucker Punches are still resistant. So this is a pretty tricky Pokemon to see on the lead. However, even though they lower my attack with the Chilling Water, I can always just boost it back up with the Trailblaze. The opponent comes in with a Credilli, so Credilli will be hit with a Trailblaze. This is already 2 times lowered, so it's going to do very little damage, but that's okay because I'm just raising my attack right back up. They end up throwing their energy as well, not wanting to take a second Trailblaze, so I'm definitely just going to let this go, as I can outpace the opponent with that little bit of overfarm I did on the lead. I am going to throw the Scorching Sands here on the CMP tie with my opponent's charge move. Actually, no, they did not throw. They ended up overfarming by 1. That allows them to survive the charge move. They end up baiting with a Rock Tomb, which is unbelievable. I no-shielded that because I got the attack drop, and in the back is a Dugong. So Empoleon absolutely core breaking in the back line here, which is absolutely perfect because I need basically my Empoleon to sweep this game. They are going to let the Hydro Cannon go on the Florges there, only to come back in with the Dugong to resign the match, and we are able to take that win. Another Marowak on the lead in the next match. This is another good lead for the Hippo. So just going to stay in, and once again, the opponent stays in and throws on alignment, but I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to throw up the shield on the Bone Club. This opponent ends up going for a catch on a Azumarill, and for some reason we've seen this team back-to-back. The third was the Corviknight last time, I believe, so I guess we'll have to see if it's the exact same team. They end up going for a double resisted Ice Beam as opposed to a single resisted Stab Play Rough. But that's okay with me because now I can start firing off these Drill Pecks. As you'll notice, I'm always making sure I'm overfarming in this matchup to leave with a little bit of energy in case that Marowak comes back in, so I can threaten it with a Hydro Cannon, and they recognize that, so they instantly pivot back into the Marowak, but Marowak now will be hit with a super effective Hydro Cannon. They put up the shield, in comes the Hippo. Hippo will be able to make it to a Weather Ball Rock. This is resisted damage, but with the Ice Fangs, it actually grabs the shield from the opponent. I'm going to double shield here, and then just look for a full Ice Fang farm down, knowing that I can leave with a lot of energy. What is that final Pokemon in the back? It's going to be the Fortress. Fortress will be hit with the Stab Scorching Sands. This will do big damage. It puts them nearly into the yellow health range. Can I also get to Weather Ball Rock? Yes, I can. The overfarm on the Hippo coming in clutch. Weather Ball Rock puts them into the red HP, and we haven't even shown our Ferret here. Ferret is, of course, completely walled with my charge moves, but it's too little too late, as I'm not even going to need a charge move to knock out the Fortress. They go for that Rock Tomb. It lowers my attack, but I get the full Sucker Punch farm down. The opponent resigns the match, and we are able to take that win. Continuing into the next day with a Ice Fang Hippo against a Torterra on the lead. This is a fantastic lead. The opponent is going to save switch into the Wigglytuff, only to be punished by the Empoleon, and this is absolutely perfect. We are perfect, like just perfectly punishing a Mud Slap Wiggly Core, and that is just absolutely beautiful. They go for the double resisted Icy Wind. That's going to allow me to overfarm massively here, and then look to connect with a Hydro Cannon to pick up the knockout, and that's exactly what's going to happen. In comes a Dedenne as the third, maybe the opponent trying to go for a Drill Pet catch, but I went for the overfarm. The opponent not able to get to a charge move before I'm able to make it to back-to-back Hydro Cannons, and this is not the position you want to be on the Dedenne. You'd like to shield up and throw these Parabolic Charge to boost your defense. That said, I can come in with my Furret, force them to throw their energy here, and basically just go 2-shield with my Hippo, because Hippo is my win con here. They're completely walled with the Parabolic Charges. Ice Fang is double super effective, so I'm basically sacrificing the Furret, coming back in with the Hippo. Hippo will be able to make it to where the ball rock. That picks up the knockout on the Dedenne. Back in comes the Torterra, only to get double super effective Ice Fang farm down, and we are able to take that win. Into next match, we've got a Corviknight on the lead. So this is actually a decent lead for the non-Shadow Hippo, as it's a pretty neutral one. Both Ice Fang and Weather Ball Rock are neutral. However, they are both non-stab, whereas the opponent can go for, I guess, non-stab sand attacks and paybacks. However, payback is just a better move, so they will be able to win the 0 shield scenario, but not by much. It will put them into a range where I can fully farm them down with the Furret, and honestly, that's a good position to be in, because usually Corviknight is the answer to a Furret on most teams. So if I get them into a range where they're deep into the red, and then just get a full farm down with the Furret and come out low with energy, I should be in an okay position. They end up coming in with a clodsire, so I'm going to boost my attack with this Trailblaze. This Trailblaze will do some decent damage as well, but clodsire is extremely bulky, so it can eat that up no problem. I'm now going to commit the shield on the Furret, hoping that they full send the Earthquake. They end up baiting with a Stone Edge, but that's okay, because now here comes a second boost of the Furret, and you're going to see these Sucker Punches are really going to start adding up. The opponent has to respect that with a shield, as it would do too much damage, so I'm double shielding the Furret. What do you have in the back? That does not want to see the Furret. If they end up double shielding here as well, you better believe I'm going to be pivoting into my Empoleon and trying to go for the catch, because I need to know what is in the back. The opponent overfarms, allowing me to get to the Swift, and Swift from this range will be enough to knock out the clodsire. What is that final Pokemon in the back? It's a Gastrodon, but Gastrodon will be able to outpace me here, so I'm forced to go for the catch onto my Empoleon, but Empoleon is a complete wall to energy from the Gastrodon, and now all I have to do is put them into a range where a Swift will knock out, so I'm forcing the opponent to throw their energy by overfarming here, but the opponent holds on to their energy, recognizing the win con is to fully farm down the Empoleon, leave with energy. The question is, can I hang on, or do I win CMP? Furret ends up winning CMP in this matchup. I don't know if this is IB dependent or what, but coming in clutch with that for a tag, winning CMP, knocking the Gastrodon out with the Swift, and we are able to take that win. What would have been a good lead in the next match, and the opponent stays in to check the fast move, which is really unfortunate. Fortunately, I still do have super effective charge move coverage here, so it's not the worst matchup in the world, and the opponent ends up putting up a shield. So this is a bit interesting, and you know what? I'm going to call a Rock Tomb bait right back. I know I'm already at half HP, but Rock Tomb is not enough to knock out. That allows me to get to yet another super effective Weather Ball Rock, and if the opponent puts up a second shield, I'm going to be pivoting into the Furret, as I can connect with a neutral Trailblaze to boost my attack. The opponent will go for the Rock Tomb, lowering my attack, which does make this matchup a little bit more uncomfortable, as they come in with a Tropius in the back. So very cool pick from my opponent. Obviously, the pacing on Tropius is pretty bad, but it does have quite a bit of bulk. And it has a really decent charge move in Leaf Blade, and then some decent coverage with Brutal Swing. So the opponent probably just going to look for the full farm down. No, they are going to actually settle to throw their energy here. Going to go for that Leaf Blade to pick up the knockout, but now in comes Hippowdon. Hippowdon going for the double super effective fast moves, and in the back is a Ferrothorn. But Ferrothorn is down shields, and this is not a position they want to be in, because Power Whip, while it is only neutral damage, would not even be enough to knock out, and these Bullet Seeds do absolutely nothing. And having no fast move pressure in the back while also being outpaced by the opponent is a very unfortunate position for my opponent. I'm able to make it to back-to-back drill pecks. Drill peck number 2 picks up the knockout on the Shadow Ferrothorn. Back in comes the Tropius, but I know I can survive any one charge move here, so I am going to let this go. Leaf Blade is neutral damage, but it does put us into the yellow health range. I'm looking for the full farm down. I can't quite get it. Back in comes the Mad Cargo, but Mad Cargo will be hit with a double super effective Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon picks up the knockout on the Mad Cargo. It's a race, and I get the Ice Fang farm down with the Hippo, and I am able to take that win. Into the next match, we've seen this matchup before with the Ice Fang Hippowdon into the Corviknight. I'm going to play it out the exact same way, planning to soft lose the zeros, get an energy lead on the Furret, and then hope Furret has good play into the backline of my opponent. Most times, Corviknights are paired with Gastrodons or Credillies or just something that doesn't want to see an up energy for it, even your ghosts like Dusk Noir and Corsola. So soft losing these matchups with the Hippowdon is a great position to be in. Of course, if they have a fighter in the back, it's pretty much game over, which they could because they have an answer to Fairy on the lead, but it ends up being a Dartrix in the back. So my opponent was actually pretty weak to the Hippowdon in the back, which is pretty unfortunate, but I can now connect with a Swift and then come in with my Empoleon, which does resist Brave Bird, so they have to go for Seed Bomb in this matchup. Seed Bomb is neutral damage, but I am able to make it to a Drill Peck on the CMP tie, winning CMP. Does the opponent let this go? Yes, they do. Are they going to come back with a Corviknight? No, they're going to show me their third, and their third is actually a Spiritomb. They end up going for the catch. They do not get it. I get the full Metal Sound farm down of the Corviknight, and now I leave with back-to-back charge moves, which means this game is basically over. I'm probably going to throw one and bank one, knowing that I do win CMP in this matchup, and then just commit all of my shields on the Furret and not need to save shields for my Empoleon. They are going to go for the Rock Tomb to lower my attack, but I can just go for the Trailblaze to re-raise my attack, and this is what makes Furret so strong. Being able to boost your attack in a meta where there are so many Pokemon that lower it. The opponent realizes that did far too much damage, so they resign the match, and we are able to take that win. But yeah, that is Ice Fang Hippowdon in the Open Great League. Like I said, I did these battles early in the season, but I still think this is a very solid team. I had a lot of fun running Ice Fang Hippowdon. I think it's a great core breaker in this meta. So especially if you're in an ELO range where you're seeing a lot of teams disrespecting Ice, while also not having like coverage into the ground typing, like Credilli is a good answer for what I'm kind of talking about, where Acid is resisted. Even though it's a grass type, it's running a resisted fast move. Your fast move is super effective, and so suddenly what seems like it should be a good match for the Credilli is actually a better match for the Hippowdon, and that kind of felt like it was the case, especially with, you got Marowak, which is absolutely everywhere. You've got a bunch of flyers paired with the Marowaks. Didn't see as many flyers in these battles today. A lot of Corviknights. But I've been seeing a lot of Fearow, a lot of Togekiss, so I think Hippowdon has a great potential there. Good against Flyers, good against your Steels and your Rocks with that ground coverage, so very cool Pokemon in general. That said, I do want to say thank you to the expert trainer members on this channel: Benny Hemlock, Dr. Green Mustache, Eliana, Perry G, Blue Nation, Peter Rushworth, Champus Clips, Sons of Code, and Sohan Patil, as well as an extra special thank you to the Legend Trainer members on this channel: Andrew Pitten, Musajute, Noodleman, Speedster, Estros, Fast Diddy Boss, CD Slaskus, and Star Bonsai. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace!